Hey everyone, this is VanillaBean, and I'm bringing you another anime review. I say another, but I haven't done one in nearly 2 years. Why? Life and priorities got in the way, motivation stomped on, hobbies grew harder to juggle, and those are all excuses. Sometimes you just gotta do it and get into the groove of things. So hopefully I do just that, because I love discussing anime and games, and I need an outlet. Speaking of games, the game in the background is Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. A great silly game about a ninja out for, revengeance. What else? And it's not a coincidence that I have this game playing in the background, because I'm gonna talk about Ninja Slayer. Or Ninja Slayer from Animation if you want the full official title. But that doesn't sound nearly as cool as just Ninja Slayer. Ninja Slayer is an action comedy anime that runs for 26 episodes so far, 12 to 15 minutes per episode, an anime that is brought to us by Studio Trigger back in 2015. Yes, I'm just getting into that anime now. Studio Trigger. They're most well known for bringing us Kill la Kill, Little Witch Academia, and Inferno Cop. If you've heard of Trigger, you probably already know that by now. I should also mention that key members include ex-Studio Gainax staff. That's an insane pedigree filled with insane anime, and if you're familiar with any of their hits, then you already know what to expect. Or do you? Sometimes they throw a curveball. My point is, when you hear Trigger, then you think absurdity, and they pretty much embrace it with open arms. This anime is no different. So here's the premise. Ninja Slayer takes place in the seedy underbelly, the dystopian cyberpunk-like city that is Neo Saitama. Crime runs rampant in these streets, and at the top of the food chain is the Sokai Syndicate. A criminal organization mostly made up of ninja and even headed by an extremely powerful ninja named Lao Moto Khan. This baddie has the crime underworld under his thumb. However, that doesn't mean he has absolute control. There are other criminals and mafias that resist, and that leads to some ninja turf wars. This is where our unfortunate main protagonist comes in. Kenji Fujikito, once a normal salaryman, and his wife and child get caught up in the middle of one of these ninja turf wars. And they get slaughtered. Well, except of course for him. A deep anguish and a lust for revenge is born within him, and that attracts the attention of a mysterious ninja soul named Naraku Ninja. His craving for the destruction of all ninja and Kenji Fujikito's lust for revenge overlap, so he offers him his power. Kenji Fujikito accepts, gets possessed, and becomes Ninja Slayer. From there, he goes on his path of vengeance, finding those responsible for the death of his family, all while struggling with Naraku Ninja over control of his own soul. That's the plot, plain and simple. Revenge is a common driving force used in stories, but it works. Now, based on that premise alone, some of you might already be sold and ready to jump onto this anime. Come on. Ninjas? Crime? Revenge? Trigger? Neo Saitama? Hold your horses. There are things you need to know or should understand before watching Ninja Slayer. Otherwise, you will find immediate disappointment and go in with the wrong kind of expectations. The major things being the art style, animation, humor, and origin. Here's the first point you gotta know, and arguably the most confusing part. This anime is based on a light novel put together on social media by a couple of Japanese translators, air quotes, who claim they were translating a light novel from some American weeaboos. Here's the kicker. These weeaboos never existed. Ooh, spoopy. Really, the light novel was made by the Japanese guys themselves. So why the facade? Not entirely sure. Might be because the light novel's style and humor is totally inspired by cheesy American 80s shows and movies, particularly shows and movies that had silly depictions of Japan, its culture, and ninjas, or shows and movies that lack any real knowledge of Japan, its culture, and ninjas. So, to reiterate, some Japanese authors decided to parody what Americans would parody back in the 80s or 90s. Parodyception. Yep, I heard you like parodies, dog. And Trigger has brought this into animation. So this leads to my second point. As you'd expect, the humor is campy and crass. There's a lot of exaggeration, cheesy one-liners, scantily clad women, a very descriptive narrator, and a whole damn lot of silly and stupid. You'll hear a lot of "yeah" as characters attack, a lot of "sayonara" as characters explode Michael Bay style when they die, and a whole lot of "domo" as ninjas greet each other before fighting to the death. Yeah, that's right, it's common courtesy to greet the enemy ninja and introduce yourself before taking his life. Jeez. And Ninja Slayer wouldn't be the main character if he didn't have some funny badass one-liners himself. For example, "recite your death haiku before it is too late," or "death is the only way out for ninjas." Those are just some of the greats. And apparently it's also customary for ninjas to have stupid names like Sonic Boom-san or Lobster-san. Oh, Ninja Slayer, you so silly. Then, we also have the exaggerated violence and sexuality that'll be, no doubt, the line for some people. If you don't like dismemberment, blood geysers, or fan service of the titillating nature, then you won't enjoy this anime. If you do, there's lots of it. Now, if you haven't run into a sticking point yet into whether you want to give this anime a try, then this might be the one for you. The next and last point here is the art style and animation. If you've seen Kill la Kill or Inferno Cop, especially Inferno Cop, then you can expect what you're about to see. Alongside some conventional animation, there are a lot of character stills moving quite awkwardly and a lot of cheap special effects you'd probably expect from a new Adobe After Effects user. Yeah, think South Park, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, or some of the typical Adult Swim shows on Cartoon Network. Now, this animation style is intentional. It's a silly visual style that lends itself well only to this kind of humor, and I believe it works because of how ridiculous it is. It plays into the campy vibe of Ninja Slayer. The anime also has a lot of iridescent and luminous colors, a lot of red and neon green. It's a very grimy yet colorful look, befitting for a dystopian crime world, and on top of all that, the anime is deliberately in 4:3 resolution. Yeah, you heard that right. They're really pushing for that 80s, 90s feel, back when widescreen wasn't so available. If your pet peeve is having black bars on the sides of your screen, then this will probably annoy you. So those are the major points that will make or break the enjoyment for you. More so than anything else would probably be the animation and style. If any of those points are hang-ups you simply can't get over, then this is most definitely a pass for you. Ninja Slayer is very much an anime that caters to a niche audience after all. An anime that specifically caters to those who love the "it's so bad it's good" approach. With those points covered, let's quickly delve a little into the music and finally my impressions on the characters, story, and the English dub. So, do you like electronic rock or techno beat? Because there's plenty of that here, as well as some classical Japanese string instruments that almost make it sound like it's part of the soundtrack from Naruto Shippuden, if you're familiar with that anime's music at all. It's a stereotypical anime about ninja. You'd probably be disappointed if it didn't have Japanese string instruments anyway. So yeah, it's a pretty impressive soundtrack in my opinion. You got your cheesy sounding opening. You also got a different ending song every episode. So, got something forward to listen to at the end of every episode if you so desire. Now then, there are tons of characters, a lot of which are just villain fodder to explode and yell, "Sayonara!" But there are some noteworthy characters that the story shifts focus to every now and then. Characters that Ninja Slayer himself eventually meets. Some encounters are brief, some are long-term. The way these encounters play out is almost like a Tarantino movie, like Pulp Fiction. Each of these characters bring an interesting diversion from the overarching story, and they don't last too long as to overstay their welcome. They even have their own unique and awesome set of skills and abilities. Like, for example, Nancy Lee, the hot blonde bombshell you see here. Nancy Lee can connect her brain with a computer and has a propensity for hacking. Let me repeat that. She can connect her brain with a computer. You know, USB jack. She also has a propensity for being in pervy scenes, but that's not important. Or maybe it is, I don't know. I'm a red-blooded American male. I can't help it if I like ecchi. Anyway, my conclusion on the story? I think it's great. I like that even though how incredibly silly and stupid the show is, it still manages to have meaningful story progression and character development. And the main story arc concludes nicely. Actually, that's putting it mildly. It concludes explosively, in an incredibly entertaining, silly, and badass ending, however tropey it may be. But if I were to criticize something, it'd be two things. One, if you do decide to watch Ninja Slayer, watch episode 25 before episode 21. Make note of that. Write that down. Episode 25 is a collection of short stories, and the problem with this episode is that it breaks the pacing from episode 24 to episode 26. An epic conclusion is on the way, and then you're treated to some filler before you can actually reach that awesome conclusion. I don't quite understand why Trigger decided to place this episode there. It would have been much better to place it somewhere it wouldn't disrupt the flow. Fortunately, you have me to tell you to preemptively watch it so it doesn't mess with the flow. Now, my second criticism is that there are some loose ends that haven't been taken care of. Story arcs that I would have loved to see continue. Of course, this wouldn't be a problem if there's a second season on the horizon, but there's no word or hint of it. At least not right now, the time where I put this video up. The anime planted enough interest for me to care about these little story arcs and characters, though they are inconsequential to the main story, albeit. But even so, it's like having a good 4-course meal and you don't get to finish the dessert. But what can you do? Supposedly the original light novels are selling well. If the anime Blu-ray discs and DVDs sell well, then there's a chance for that second season. That's partly the reason why I'm doing a review video anyway, to get more people to watch Ninja Slayer. Watch it! Oh, but do watch it in English dub. Yes, English dub. Yes, English dub. It's better than watching it in English subs, particularly if you're an English speaker, which of course you are. Why else would you continue watching and listening to this? Here's the thing. Funimation did a spectacular job in the dub direction of Ninja Slayer. Not that it was probably hard to do, it's a parody of cheesy American 80s entertainment. Who else can better understand that than Americans? They maintained the exaggerations and the silly dialogue. The Ias and Sayonara, Domos, and Washoi are all there. The suffixes are still there, i.e. Ninja Slayer-san or Sonic Boom-san. Because of the nature of the anime, the English dub is actually more fitting and more entertaining to listen to. You can cry foul on some supposed bad voice acting, but this is an instance where some bad voice acting actually adds to the entertainment value. I should also mention that the English dub version of Ninja Slayer, the character, is casted by the manliest voice, the legendary Christopher Sabat himself. Or Sabat. Sabat? Sabat? Sabut? Whatever. That's right. The man who is Vegeta, Piccolo, Zoro, and tons of other characters. The dude's got quite the voice acting resume, and he does Ninja Slayer's voice with finesse. You can't get enough Christopher Sabat. Sabat. So there you have it. If those major points I've mentioned aren't gripes to you at all, and you're all for over-the-top fun action, awkward but hilarious animation, stupid but comically cheesy dialogue, Nancy Lee, oh my Buddha, then Ninja Slayer will be incredibly entertaining for you, as it was for me. I can't repeat myself enough. And in my opinion, it's even more enjoyable in English dub. I highly recommend watching that side. You can watch Ninja Slayer with English subs on Funimation's website, and you can watch it in HD and in English dub with a Funimation Premium subscription. Oh, and Metal Gear Rising is fantastic adrenaline rush. Just want to throw that out there. Great game. You should try it, if you like character action games. So, that's all, guys. Hopefully I make a groove and stay in the groove and continue to make these videos. It's fun. So, until next time, sayonara!